Welcome to Fated, a podcast brought to you by Magella and Carly, two romantasy-obsessed readers who believe that great books must include declarations of undying love and deep thrusts of desire. Diving into the spicy, smutty fantasy genre, we are here for both the rattling of stars and headboards, and our podcast starts with the worlds of SJM, but delves into other realms. Did we mention that washboard abs and wands of all kinds are welcome in this inclusive and magically charged space? No topic is off limits, and no one is forced to have only one favourite heroine. Welcome to Fated, where we are unabashedly and wholeheartedly hot and heavy for spicy fantasy fiction. It's time to sit down and smut up. Warning, spoilers ahead.
So, welcome to Fated. I'm Carly.
And I'm Magella. And this week we are going to share why we are starting a book club and what we love about book clubs and why we think they're a little bit of a sacred, magical, special place where people can come and gather and talk about the books that they love. So, Carly, before we jump in though, what are you currently reading?
Oh, I am reading Kingdom of Ash, and I'm really not okay. Many tears last night, late into the night, because I was in the middle of a scene that I couldn't not finish, even though it was very late. I needed to get to bed to get up early today. I was like bawling my eyes out. My husband comes in again. Is this fun? Is this enjoyable? You don't understand.
Was it to do with Aelin?
Yes. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but it's around the 300-page mark. It's like, heart-wrenching, beautiful, like made my heart happy but also destroyed it. Like, it's so complicated, but that's what I'm reading at the moment. And I can't talk about it because I'll start crying again. What about you?
Well, I'm actually doing a bit of a reread of Kingdom of Ash. And as I said to you in the Voxer, I had just done, because we're going to start talking about Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn. And so I just wanted to do a bit of a refresh sort of as we're going along. And so I just got to the part in Empire of Storms, which I think is the beginning of the start of the bit that you're reading now. And I said to Carly in Voxer, I was like, actually, you know what? I can't read this bit again. Like this bit from this bit of the book into that bit of Kingdom of Ash. Like I have already reread it a couple times, and it is probably the most traumatic, heartbreaking thing that I have read. I haven't read a lot of like super dark fantasies like Haunting Adeline, where I feel like maybe there are some really intense sort of themes. But in terms of this, because we're right at the end of the series and you know the characters so well, it's just like, I was like, I can't do it. I can't. I'll meet you at the other side of it. So let me know. You'll know when you get to the other side, because you will literally you'll know. I don't want to even like say what kind of reaction you'll have. I'm like, you'll just know when. I don't know where you are exactly on page 300, so I'll have to like reference that. But it's Anyway, it's definitely I couldn't do it again. So then anyway, I was like, I'm just rereading that, so I've jumped ahead. So I'm a little bit ahead of Carly now. So I'm back into the like it's still, the whole book doesn't really give up at all. Like it's relentless, but there are these moments and these scenes and these bits which are like joyful tears, where like it is so beautiful that you're just like, oh my God, like this kind of like when you sob, but like it's like happy, ugly sobbing, where you're just like, like my heart needed that. So I'm into more of that section now. When Carly sent me a thing saying, hey, you should go to this romance festival that's on in Brisbane this Friday. And I actually am going to be in Brisbane on Friday. So I booked a ticket to go see two authors speak. One is Stacey
McEwan.
So Stacey's part of it, and I've read her two books. But the other author that she's doing the talks with is called H.M. Hodgson. And I was like, never heard of this person. I don't read a lot of romance, as But this is like a romance fantasy, a romantasy talk. So I was like, well, I better check out this author because, I need to at least have read maybe one of her books, hopefully, by the time I see her. And I downloaded her most popular book, which is called A Relic of Magic and Gold. It's a trilogy, and it's the Three Gifts trilogy. And it's actually about witches and I think other magical beings, but I've only met some witches. But it's based in Brisbane. It's so weird. Like, it starts in London, and so they're describing, like, kind of London scenery. And then it's literally like, and then she got on a plane to Brisbane. Like, she got on an international flight. She's arriving. There's a scene happening at West End. Like, it was very disconcerting. Like, I don't actually know if I like my escapism reading being based, like, in my old hometown.
Yeah, good point. That's interesting.
I think it was kind of cool in a way because I'm like, wow, does that actually mean that there could be witches in West End? Because you want to believe that it's possible. Like, obviously, when you were reading, about Terrasen and Valaris and all those kind of obviously made up places, you're like, I probably will never get there. But this, I've been there. I've walked around West End. I know the streets she's referring to. It's very odd. So that's what I'm reading. I'm about a quarter of the way through. It's very easy to read. But it's interesting because I am coming off the back of, like, I'm doing that Kingdom of Ash reread. It does feel very thin. Like, that's the way I would describe it. Like, it's like, it just doesn't have that multi-layered universe, characters, different POVs, so it's kind of like, it just seems to be like two main characters and they're just in one location and there seems to be like one plot problem, one problem. Like, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. I mean, so I'm reading that hopefully so that I can finish it by tomorrow because the talk is at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. I love that you're going down to that. That's awesome. I love that it was very short notice and I was like, oh, this is on literally this week. It might be good to go and, like, rub some shoulders with some people.
Yeah, I wonder how big it is. Like, I've never heard of it. I don't know if it runs every year. I just was like, I would not have come across it either. It hasn't come up. Even now I've purchased a ticket. It hasn't come up in any of my socials, like no sponsored ads or no one has talked about it ever. So I don't know how.
Really like a secret society, niche, underground, only the cool kids know the password kind of thing.
I'm fine with that. Maybe it's just going to be me and the two authors. And it'll just be like, like a one-on-one interview. And I'll be like, I'm just going to record this on my phone as the next podcast episode.
That's right. Absolutely. No, there's no legal issues with that at all. There's quite a few cool little events that I've, noted down in the diary for the next little while that we're going to try to get to and, bring back to the potty. But let's talk about a book club because we're really, really excited to be starting this in March, launching it with, I think we've already got 4 or 5 people, which is massive for us, like 4 or 5 people who are like, we'll be in a book club with you and have no details about it or what it's going to involve or anything at all. I love people like that. They're just like, sure, let's do it. And so we wanted to chat a little bit about book clubs. And I was thinking, have you ever been in a book club as an adult? I was in book clubs when I was younger, but I've been in a couple of failed ones that we had one catch up and then nothing happened. But have you been in any, Madge?
No, I think when I was younger, it was because I really rejected being like a book lover because it kind of was associated with being a nerd. And like, even though I did it, I was such a reader behind the scenes. It wasn't part of my identity as a teenager or like an early 20s, and especially probably the books that I was reading, like, all the Narnia series and then Harry Potter. That wasn't like, when I went to photography and when I was doing journalism, like, everyone was reading like much cooler books by like, I don't know, Joan Didion and Shakespeare reimagined and just stuff. And so I feel like me carrying around the Harry Potter books with the cartoon, It just would be like, so I feel like I was in denial of how much I love reading for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. So I would never have joined a book club because it wasn't cool. And then as an adult, I just didn't have any desire to sit around and kind of read these, I guess, sort of, Oprah's book club or Reese's book club, these kind of really well known popular books either, because I was deep in that self-help, self-development, and then just reading autobiographies. So it felt like there wasn't really a book club that appealed to me. And also I think that I wasn't kind of assimilating that part of my identity proudly. It was still a bit like, no, 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 no. When I do read, it's very productive and it's very intelligent, and it is expanding my horizons and my mind, and it's philosophy and it's deep. Whereas now I'm just like, I just want smart and fairies and some kind of faraway world.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, this is at least half my personality now. So,
Yeah.
now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to be like, book club. Yes, this is the only social event that I go to.
Yeah, okay. So my experience, I was thinking back to even like when I was in primary school, and I remember when my two boys, who are still in primary school, first got, I don't know if you had them where you grew up, but we got the catalogue, the book club catalogue
Oh, yeah.
every term or something like that. And I remember how much I was so excited to flick through, and I was occasionally allowed to get a book because we didn't have a lot of money, and it was a real luxury to get a book from the book club because they were, pricier than probably going and getting them at the thrift store or the op shop. Or getting them secondhand. And so I was thinking like that's the kind of feeling I'm getting as I'm creating the Fated book club right now. Like, what are the options going to be? Like, what could I read this month? And then I remember when those books would be delivered to school. God, the excitement of getting your package and ripping it open and seeing, who else in my class got the same books, and then we'd read them and we'd talk about them. Like, this is, when I was 10, so tiny. And so I'm really feeling like that same level of excitement. It's ridiculous. I'm really giddy about like, what are our options going to be and who's going to be in the club and how are we going to chat about it. So that was kind of my initial kind of like book clubs. Yeah, that was a first experience for me. And then I remember, as I moved into motherhood, I stopped reading because, I was sleep deprived, and, I had a baby that woke every hour and a half for 18 months, and reading just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And yet I would see other mums that would catch up for wine and social, like it was really just an outing, and they'd call it a book club. I don't think any of them actually read the book. But anyway, it was a chance to catch up. So I went to a couple of those, but I only went like once. They were fun, but yeah, I think really all the women were just getting on the wine and getting away from their kids. And so that was okay for that period of my life. But now I'm like back in, I want to actually, have conversations about how we experience these books that we're going to have in our book club and how they make us feel. Not so much highbrow conversations about, as you say, like sentence structure and, how plausible the plot is and all of that sort of stuff. But really just like, oh my God, I stayed up till like 1 a.m. because I was in this part of the book and this broke me, and how did you feel about that, and do you like that character, and those kind of conversations. So that's where I want to put my energy with this book club. And so that's, I think, why I know why we've also made it virtual, right? Obviously we want people to be able to join our book club from anywhere in the world, and to not have to even get dressed to attend the book club. You could just be in your pajamas or your gardening clothes.
Nudity is fine.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to see anyone through the app. Hopefully not. But maybe when we get on the Zooms and things that we've got planned, please be dressed. But you can be wearing whatever you like. I had one friend message me and saying, I think I need to set the tone of the book club early. I think it needs to be pajamas and cocktails are very welcome. And I'm like, oh, that might actually be a requirement.
Sure.
She was so funny. She's like, just setting the tone early. Love it. So virtual, easy to access. We know lives are busy. We know that a lot of the people that want to get back into reading don't, because of how busy their life is. So we don't want to add too much pressure. And I think some of the traditional book clubs out there, I think you can feel pressured to, God, I've got to get this book read. We're catching up next Thursday night. I've got to have the book read. And I've got to I've got to be able to respond and answer questions. We don't want it to feel any pressure, just fun conversation.
Yes, but I do feel like there has to be some awareness that like we're not going to like, kind of, if we're discussing a book, we're like discussing the book, talk about that heartbreaking scene, where we sobbed for hours and, our partners were like, why do you enjoy this? And it's like, I mean, I think that is such a great point to discuss. Like, why do, like, I don't love watching depressing films. I don't like watching horror. I don't like watching bleakness on the TV. But yet I will read these books where, like, obviously most of them have happily ever after endings because of the genre itself. Like, like if it doesn't fit into that particular format, then it can't fit into the romantasy genre. Like, it's out. So there's that little bit of relief at the end that one of the couples or the main couple will at least survive, whatever you're going through. But it is an interesting thing. Like, why is it so enjoyable to read this? Like there is like trials, there is death, there is heartbreak, there is, like these, even though some of them definitely are categorized as YA, young adult, they're not like skimming over like themes. They're not being like, closed door about death or, like action fight scenes or, betrayal.
I just want to clarify. I love that you went off, like you can see when Magella just tangent. I love it so much. And this is you're going to be able to do that in this space, Magella. You're going to have another space to do this. This is so exciting. You won't just have me on Boxer anymore. You'll have this space to go in and go, blah. I love it so much. But let me be really, really clear. The app that we've chosen to host our book club is called Fable. And again, we wanted something super easy. Download, it's free, it's really beautiful, aesthetically beautiful and easy to navigate. But when we have our monthly book that's chosen, what it actually does is it breaks down every chapter into a chat room. So if you're going to be reading it, and if Magella's already on chapter 45, because she will be within 24 hours, she can go in and be chatting in those chat groups right up to chapter 45. Oh my God, did you read chapter 45? This is what happened. And I read it here and I felt this and oh my God, I can't survive this. And how's this going to blah? You can go in and do that in there. But if I'm still on chapter 6, because that's highly likely too, I can be chatting at my own level. And I just think that's cool because there won't be spoilers then. Everyone still gets to go in and have their conversation about the chapter that they're on. And there's no spoilers. There's a main lobby where we can all hang out and chat about the book, but there'll be no spoilers in there because that we don't want to ruin people's experience of reading. But yeah, there'll be discussions and, Magella and I will be in there, as often as we have the chance to be like, this is where we're at. Where are you guys at? But again, there's no pressure. Like, we're not going to be, come on, by next Monday, you have to all be on chapter 17 because we're going to talk about it. No, over the month, and even if you don't, because there'll be months where you don't like the book. There'll be months when life happens. There'll be months when you just don't have time or space to read. Things happen. I totally get that. Magella totally gets that. We didn't want pressure. We just want this beautiful space to come in and go, yeah, cool. I'm going to hang out in here. And if it's a book that doesn't appeal to you or you've, as we said, got a busy month, then that's okay. There's no one checking in on you going, well, what did you think and did you get it read? We're all adults. Do what you want to do.
But also, some people don't care about spoilers. Like, I feel like some people, I think because on TikTok especially, you get all the spectrum of readers. Some people don't mind knowing. In fact, some people prefer it. Some people want to know what's happening because obviously it's a comfort to sort of know what's ahead. Like, they don't like reading with suspense. So some people or if you're not that invested in the book, you can, because I think we're aiming to have like a Zoom chat once a month so we can all kind of have more of a real time, real conversation type of book club. So I think that, in those cases, if you're not super invested in the book, or you don't care if you find out things, if you're kind of like, I can see where this is going to go, and it's a great ride, but I'm happy to jump in and hear people talk about the ending, for example. Like, I don't think it bothers some people the same way that other
Yeah.
people care, like they're just like,
And I think it
other people are
depends
like,
on
I
the book.
can't see a meme about it.
Yeah. It depends on the book too. There's some books that are on my TBR that I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to get to that till like, 2035. And so I don't mind if I see something. It's not high on my list to read next, like happy to hear about it, because I know that within 6 months to 12 months, I'll have forgotten pretty much all of what I've heard, or I've got it mixed up with another book or something like that. So yeah, I think it depends on the book as well. But yes, just to really reiterate that, we want to hopefully have like once a month we can jump on a Zoom and have more of a chit chat in our PJs with a beverage, or wherever you are in the world. You might be, out at your favorite cafe having a coffee and you want to tune in wherever you are, but just that connection, like Majella and I'll be there chatting anyway. So why not extend it? And that's a huge reason why we want the book club. Is we have the podcast, we talk to each other all the time, but we also want to talk to other people. And we've had some messages from people saying, I really want to get back into reading, and you two are inspiring me. I'm listening to the podcast, I'm following you on Instagram or TikTok, and I want to read. I want to get into these books. And maybe the book club will just be that little gentle nudge to get back into it. I've had that conversation with so many people recently. Even I work at a cafe 2 days a week. I didn't realize that some of my customers listen to our podcast, and they come in the other day and they were like, we've got our list of books, but why? I just need to get started. Where do I start? I was like, well, how about you start in March with our first book club book? Why don't you do that? So that extended.
Have we decided?
Well,
We have decided.
We had suggested one. I don't know I can't remember if Majella was like, yeah, let's do that. But it's definitely one that I suggested because I want to read it soon, and you've got it on your list and you've purchased it, and it's come highly, highly recommended through some of the people that I really trust for recommendations. So we will have that ready to go once we 100% confirm that's what we're doing. But the other thing with Fable, the app, which is really great and I think will be helpful for people getting back into reading, starting with, reading with a bit more technology with apps and stuff, is that you can create a really beautiful to be read list in there. So you can add books to that as you see people recommending that. And also it does like a monthly wrap up. So you can do a little like, what have you read this month? You can create little bookshelf. Like it's really... I find it quite beautiful compared to something like Goodreads, which is really beige and blah. So I think it's going to be a really fun app to play with. We can do giveaway. Oh my God, we can do so many things. There's so many things we could do.
Yeah. I love it that you're excited about the book club, and I'm excited about taking the book club to like a beautiful location and having like a reading retreat. So not like a writing retreat, not like a retreat where we actually have to do anything or achieve anything, but literally be like, here are people who love to read. We're going to find a house that is made for readers. So it's filled with nooks and like beautiful like places to lounge. And, I will make sure there's a coffee machine. I will make people coffee the whole time because I love making coffee. Well, you make coffee too, but I feel like it's like a novelty for me because I don't have to do it as a job. And then every night we come together over like a big kind of like meal and we talk about what we're reading, we just kind of make sure we're not spoiling it for other people, but we talk about, what it was like and stuff. Or you don't have to talk. You could just spend the whole weekend in silence and you can like take your meal back to your room. Like that, it's this experience of just being around other readers and having this unapologetic time and space to just be in the book, which I think for most people is very hard. Like, with the amount of sort of obligations on their time and their energy, it can be very hard to it can be very hard to give yourself that time to be like, I am literally just going to read for, the next 48 hours. If I choose to not sleep like that, I can do that. I could do an all-nighter and then I could sleep in and have like brunch at 11 and no one will judge me. In fact, people will probably celebrate. They'll be like, this is great. Why would you stop in the middle of that scene? You should have kept going. It was so good, We could have like, boxes of tissues all around the house, like a pantry just stocked with everyone can fill out a form before. You're like talking about a catalogue of books to pick. I'm like, we'll send you a menu and you select, do you want biscuits? Do you want chocolate? Do you want like wine? Are you a savory? You need cheese, we'll have that. And that's part of it. You just turn up, snacks, book, space, and then if you want to, people, people are the last. I do. I feel like the book club for me is like the doorway.
Lots of people to join the book club fast so that we can do the retreat in a few months. That's what Magella's saying. So everyone join.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
So you can,
Right.
And, as a mum, I'm like, oh my God, I could never just read for 48 hours and then sleep in and have brunch at 11. But I would definitely prioritize going somewhere to do that. Mummy's gone. See you later. What are you doing? I'm going to read in a room with other people. We're reading alone together and it's going to be amazing.
That's right. And I'm just going to feast on cheese and chocolate and I don't even know if I'll eat real food.
Yeah. I may go for a walk at some point, but I may not also, and that's okay too. We do have lots of other cool stuff, but for me, the book club is connection, it's community, it's re-inspiring women to get back to reading, and especially this genre, obviously, to get back to reading for fun and pleasure. And yeah, I think a lot of women in my community are mothers and they've just lost that self-care time. It gets put to the end of the list every day. They get into bed exhausted at night and thinking they're going to read, and they read one page and fall asleep. And I don't know, maybe just knowing that they've got us and they've got other women out there might be a beautiful way for them to get inspired to, prioritize that again. And I see we're watching what other people are doing with their book clubs and kind of going, yep, we'll take a little bit of that and a little bit of that. No, that's not for us. And it'll grow and evolve with the group. And over time, we see that we'll start to put up, polls of like, what do you want to read next? And the group will start to choose the collective book for the month. But I also want to say, if you're reading another book, you can still come in and chat about that with us. Like, that's cool because we may have already read it. We want to add it to our TBR. The potential is huge. So it's coming in March. The links and everything to join it will be in the show notes. Is there anything else you want to share about our book club? I just want to say, come and join us. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah, no, that's all. I think this is great. I think it's the jump off point to see what happens, and I think that's the attitude, hopefully, of the people who join too. It's like, come if you find the idea of talking about romantasy interesting or being able to share the experience of reading romantasy interesting. That's kind of where we're starting, we're not starting a book club that is kind of reading a little bit of every genre. So, it's not like each month you're going to be like, oh, will this be a book that I, am into? I don't really like reading like crime novels, or I'm not really into nonfiction. This is literally if you need to find your people to talk about fairies and smut and wingspan and winnowing and your distinctive sense and can you have more than one mate and witches and dragons and should we have all gone to a training camp when we were young so that we knew some basic fighting skills? And do we need fighting leathers? I mean, I think that we all need fighting leathers, but what for? Who knows? But I feel like these kind of questions, you feel like there's this little pocket of emptiness in your life that feels like it needs to be filled with a little bit of escapism and fantasy and otherworldly magic and real women who are not ashamed to talk about these things.
Yeah. I'm on Fable and I'm in a couple of other book clubs that are free for other genres. So you can be on that app, come hang out with us for romantic, fantasy, jump into another one for crime, right? That's cool too. Well, we will be working our tushies off to get all of that set up and looking beautiful and ready to go. The books that we select each month, Fable has most of them available in the app as an ebook. So you can actually read it in the app as well, most of them, not all. So if you're someone that doesn't have a Kindle or you don't want to get to the shops or you can't get to the shops, maybe you live in Outback, Australia, that'll be really cool because you can read a lot of them in the app. as well. Otherwise, we'll, always put in places and spaces that you can purchase them as well. But we'll be kicking off March. So join us.
Yeah, it'll be happening. It's great.
Awesome. All right.
Very
I
exciting.
will get back to working on it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Ciao. Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you felt like you were eavesdropping on a conversation that you have been dying to have with someone to discuss all the tiny details and possible plot twists of the books that you've recently read. Perhaps you don't have someone to chat to after you finish one of those epic books, so please give the show a follow and we would be honoured to be your book-obsessed friends. But mostly though, we hope it was fun, it gave you a giggle, it made you gasp or encouraged you to pick up a different author. Please share it with someone who you think would also love it, and drop us a review, letting us know what you loved and what you want to hear from us in the future. We will be back with another episode soon. Happy reading.